Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent dish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Now listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole other type of movie.
Wow. Yeah, really. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
We have top men working on it right now. Ooh, top men.
That's right, second hour, everybody. Hey, welcome aboard the After Dark segment. Maybe you missed the first hour. Too bad for you, sir. Too bad. Bill Arnold from Blues Hog joined me, in case you're just joining me now. Also, Tuffy Stone had a very brief segment. Or two. 877-448-0433 is the number to call. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is the email address if you want to jump in tonight. All right. Well, I was going to go ahead and pretend like I had anything to talk about just to open up, kind of get everything popping for the second hour. But I think we were well introduced from my carryover in last hour, which was Tuffy Stone over at Cool Smoke. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead and race over to the hotline. Welcome in friend of the show. By the way, she just happens to be 2010 Memphis Barbecue Network Team of the Year. Friend of the show, Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q. Melissa, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you, Greg?
Oh, did you hear that, Tuffy Stone? That guy can talk. Holy moly. I apologize for being late, but, rumor...
That's okay. I won't DQ you.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Rumor has it, that he ran into a little bit of trouble down there in Lakeland a couple weeks ago, so we were just kind of rehashing some good old times that he had down there. Did you happen to see the video that was getting popularized out there on the interwebs?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, what's your take? Was he disqualified or not?
Well, back in the day, a few years ago, if you were running up to the table, they'd accept your box.
Yeah.
But since they really laid down the law and went to the satellite clocks, and it 1 second past, you're late. And I've never been a firm believer in running it down to the wire. We get our boxes turned in early. As a judge, I have never ever judged hot barbecue. It's always, every box is room temperature. So, I really don't. I get my boxes turned in early, so I don't have that problem.
But, in your estimation, having watched it, you think he should have just been called out right there?
Well, I was really just trying to avoid that whole question.
Oh, come on now. Well, here's what I think. I think that there was a lot of odd things that took place just in that microcosm of what it ended up being about 10 seconds. I think if that would have been me or Joe Schmo's Barbecue running that in, I don't think she would have had any problem telling me to go pound salt and that I was late, which is fine because I think Tuffy was late. But because it was Tuffy, because he's been very successful in competition barbecue, couple that with the fact that he's been on television, so he's got some celebrity factor going in there. When you see that guy coming in, just underneath, all of a sudden... maybe you start to rethink, maybe I could let him in, maybe I should let this one go because of who he is. Do you think any of that goes on? Have you heard of that going on at all? Any type of favoritism? No?
I mean, I do know that Kansas City has been having some discussions about how they're going to treat late boxes coming in. So, with that being on Carolyn's mind at that moment, I think they are going to accept late boxes, just, and primarily due to the fact because of the 25-team rule. You have to have 25 teams in order to be a state championship and, all these things. So they're going to accept the boxes now, even if they are late. So, if that discussion had been on my mind the day before, and the situation comes up, I probably would have accepted the box, but rules are rules, and it is what it is, and I hate to see that happen because, in my opinion, Tuffy had that contest wrapped up.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think he could have finished like second to last or third to last with that brisket, and he still would have took grand champion because of how well he did in the other three categories.
Right. That's the good thing about Memphis circuit. See, you can win it with any one category.
See, absolutely. Everybody needs to start jumping over. I don't know what the holdup is, Melissa. We're talking with Melissa Cookston, pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q. You had mentioned something just there in the open about judges getting room temperature barbecue, and I've never judged an event, and I've kind of heard that here and there, but as someone who cooks, and you obviously have a good flavor palette there in your mouth, putting together these flavor profiles that do consistently well, how much of a difference would a judge have if they could take it, right from the box and in 2 or 3 minutes be able to consume it versus having it sit and be room temperature? How big of a flavor profile difference is there, do you think?
Well, Greg, when we are testing new recipes or flavor profiles, we never taste things hot. We let them sit to room temperature because that's what the judges are tasting. In our classes, we teach our students, make sure your stuff tastes good at room temperature because that's how it's being judged.
Oh.
Most people, I think like room temperature food over hot food because the flavors meld so much better at room temperature. Now, I'm not saying cold, of course. You don't
right.
want it sitting in an ice cooler, but that's one of the things that we take into account when we go into competition is how does our stuff taste at room temperature because that's how it's judged.
Wow, I hate to say that it sounds like the most obvious thing ever, but that never actually occurred to me that should be something that teams should be out there doing.
Yeah, that's why I teach classes.
Look at you giving away some free advice here on the radio show tonight. I'm getting a whole bunch of instant messages here on the chat board going, man, that's a brilliant idea. So, I guess it's one of those things with the simplest things probably go unnoticed or overlooked in those type of situations, but you're certainly on top of your game over there. Let's go ahead and take Memphis Barbecue Network Team of the Year honors right up front here. I would say roughly, 3-4 years ago, the name that everybody knew as far as Memphis Barbecue Network was concerned was Jack's Old South, obviously Myron Mixon being the pitmaster. But fast forward, a couple years in advance, and here we are, 2011, and I think it's safe to say that you're one of the elite teams in MBN right now. Do you get any... Do you want to contradict me?
No.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, is there any satisfaction that you and Pete are getting now, kind of knowing that you guys are really being the forefront or the burners out there, blazing the trail for MBN right now?
Well, Myron and I have been swapping off Team of the Year for the last 4 years.
Right.
And I will say that he did not show up to hand me my award this year like I did last year to give it back to him. Just let me get that little dig in there.
What gives with that?
I don't know. I told him last year, I said, you better be here next year to hand it back, and he said he would. I don't know.
Is that a pisser for you or what?
Do what?
Is that a pisser for you?
Nah. I mean, he didn't cook much MBN this year. He made that clear at the first of the year. He was, primarily going to cook Kansas City, and he's got lots of other things going. So, it really, I didn't care either way. So.
No, I think that's kind of lame, but anyway, go ahead.
But we worked hard this year. We did not intend to chase points this year. We did not even start out cooking the first few contests. And we ended up just getting on a roll when we started, and ended up points. I think we won by like 50 points, and in Memphis that's a lot of points because you can only get 19 points in a contest. Mm-hmm. So we had it wrapped up 3/4 of the way through the season, and we just got on a good roll. We cooked 16 Memphis contests. We won 9 grands. We came in second place 6 times. So, we got 29 first places. So we really just got fortunate this year.
Was there anything that you had done different from years past? Any tweaks that you had made in between competition seasons, or just tried and true stuff? Well,
we always stick with our basics. We will tweak, especially if we're going out of region. We'll tweak here and there. This winter, we've actually been working on some new recipes. We're going to try some new products, but it's really about tweaking. I tell people, don't ever start from scratch. Don't ever, go back and do a complete do-over, because tweaks are usually what you need. And, barbecue is always evolving. The things that are winning now were not winning 2 or 3 years ago. And you have to be able to tweak and evolve with barbecue. If you don't, you get left behind.
At what point during a season, let's say that, now, is it safe to say that you are more triple entries in MBN than you're not? You don't usually just cook one category and place your hopes and dreams on that, right?
We always cook all three.
All right, so if you're looking at all these triple entries that you're doing, and then let's say over the course of a 3 or 4 game run, you notice that maybe your whole hog scores aren't there, the rib scores aren't there. How long do you let it go before you start to look at what are you doing case by case, and where do you want to start making adjustments?
Yeah, I'd say you got to give it a contest or two, because, you never know what judging pool you're getting, so it's like I always tell people too, you can't just take what one judge says, their feedback, and take that to the bank. You got to let it be tried a few times. So if we went 4 contests without finaling in a category, I'd start tweaking a little bit, and we did that with our shoulders early in the year this year, and just tweaked a little bit, and then they started hitting for us, more so in the east than here down in the south, but it just took a little bit of tweaking, and they were there. But in the Memphis style, we're competing against ourselves in finals, so our flavor profile is so similar in all 3 of our products. It sometimes a category will get washed out just because they are the same, and you are competing against yourself.
Have you noticed a prevailing or a common flavor profile that seems to be dominating where you're mostly running at right now?
Sweet with a little heat.
Do you use that? Well, I know you don't use the Blues Hog, but do you know a lot of teams out there that use that Blues Hog stuff? Because I had Bill Arnold on a little bit earlier in the first hour, and a lot of people, or at least I seem to hear a lot of people using it. Is it as prevalent as one might think?
On the Memphis circuit, people typically they make their own sauce, or they use another Memphis sauce. On the Memphis circuit, Blues Hog is not popular.
Mm-hmm.
I know it is more so on the Kansas City circuit, and I've seen people pour it straight out of the jar on the product. I've always, wanted to do things on my own, so I've always developed my own recipes and stood on my own 2 feet, if you will. But there's nothing wrong with using a commercial sauce. But when you get 4 or 5 teams using the same commercial sauce, it gets watered down. So that guy that's a little different over there, I think has a better chance.
So as you look at Memphis Barbecue Network now, your team of the year, and do you have plans to do just as many? Well, do you have plans to kind of retain or at least go for a repeat of team of the year again this year?
Yeah, not really. I think we want to branch out and do some different stuff. I know we're going to cook more Kansas City this year. We got some other things we're working on. So, I don't think, I do not plan on running points this year at all. Of course, I didn't last year either.
We'll see how the ones go when you get in there, right?
Well, if you get on a roll, and you get a lot of points up, and you can take that weekend off and go cook a Kansas City or go do a convention or something like that, it makes it a lot easier. But, it just kind of depends on what everybody else does, because there's always a few teams that, are going to run points at the beginning of the year. But, after they do that 10th or 11th contest in a row, they get burnt out. So it just kind of depends on what happens. And if we get on a roll, if we don't get on a roll, we definitely, won't cook much.
Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q joining me here on the show. Yazoo'sDeltaQ.com is the place to go on the interweb if you want to check them out. They got a revamped website out there with a lot of flames. You can buy a lot of cool stuff, including the Big Girl Panty T-shirt, which I'm certainly going to get my hands on, no doubt about it. So, you've won Team of the Year a bunch of times here recently. You've made your bones in Memphis Barbecue Network, obviously. So as someone who has a vested interest in seeing the organization continue to do well, how do you think the organization as a whole is sitting right now, and where do you see in your crystal ball MBN being in 3 to 5 years from now?
Yeah, they have picked up a ton of new contests this last year and over the winter. So they are definitely growing in terms of the number of contests that they've got. The new teams are not multiplying like they have in the past. And I don't think people are cooking as many contests as they used to in the past. So, I think the team count is probably down at contests. But, with the revitalization of bringing these contests back to some of these places that haven't had contests in 10 years or having MBN contests for the first time, like, say, Smithville, Virginia, that really kind of creates a different kind of buzz about barbecue. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I wish them nothing but the best because Memphis is, where I was born in barbecue, and I absolutely love that style of cooking, and that's the only place we cook whole hog. So that's, of course, my true love.
Yeah, obviously, you do very well at that. Is there a misconception that in order to do an MBN contest that you have to cook all three? Because you don't. You can just cook ribs or you could just cook shoulder and have just as good a chance as anybody is winning, probably.
That's exactly right. I don't think there's a misconception. I think, of course, I always preach it, and, we have these young kids come to our class and, and they're coming up from backyard, so all they're cooking are butts and ribs, so naturally when they convert over to the pro side, they start off with ribs and then they might add shoulders, but, I think, of course, I've certainly been preaching the gospel, about, hey, come on in, step it up, because, when you go to the pro side, you get certified judges, you get better judging, especially if you're cooking my rib that I've taught you how to cook, then, certified judges is what you want. You don't want the celebrity judges or just the people they pull off the street to judge backyard. So, I certainly hope that everyone knows you can enter just ribs and, come out there and kick my butt any day for the grand champion.
Is there anything aside from you liking to see maybe more competitions or more teams showing up to an event? Is there one or two other things that you would like to see the organization do to help promote and make that particular sanctioning body grow?
Yeah, Kansas City has done a really good job of getting sponsors and partnering up with some wonderful companies like Sam's, and MBN really hasn't done that, and I had hoped that they would do that this last year. So, if they could get out there and get partnered up and get some of these big money contests back, because we used to have some big money contests that we've lost. We do have one coming back this year. The MBN Championship is a $50,000 purse this year. So I was glad to hear that. And as well as Harris Casino is putting on a contest this year with a $40,000 purse. So if they could get some more big money contests together in order to bring some of these teams back that might not have cooked as much, then, I think they'll be on the right path.
Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q joining me here on the show. Melissa, I don't typically do this, but do you want to try taking a phone call?
Oh, sure.
All right. If it goes south, I can hang up very quickly on these people. So,
so can I.
All right, let's go ahead, and we'll go to area code 901. You're on with Pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q, Melissa Cookston. Go ahead. Hello. And they got scared. All right, so...
I do that to most men.
Oh, well, hey, come on. You don't scare me. So let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit and talk about how, it's not like you don't have 55 irons already in the fire, undoubtedly, but now you're going to be the chairman and president for the Tennessee Fun Fest. So go ahead and tell us about how you got hooked up with that and what that event actually is and what it entails.
Yeah, Tennessee Fun Fest, this is their 30th year. My husband actually cooked that contest years and years ago when he was a freshman in college. And the guy that started that contest, Tom Jenkins, just a great guy. And, we've cooked that contest for years and years. A guy by the name of Jim Young took it over when Mr. Jenkins got ill. And it is to benefit Alzheimer's. This year, they didn't have anybody to run it, so they were going to drop the contest and ask us if we would step in and run it. Well, I've judged and I've cooked. I've never organized one, but I figured, hey, I might as well give it a shot. But it's a whole different ball game, and I'm excited about doing it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a dual sanction, Kansas City and Memphis. We're going to have a huge kids cook. And we've already got lots of teams signed up for the kids cook. But, running out there and getting sponsors is difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say,
headaches.
I mean, as somebody who was used to paying a entry fee and then, of course, driving wherever you're going to compete, to somebody that is now actually working from the inside out, trying to get teams in, trying to get sponsorship money in, trying to get these prize money in, is it even more than you thought it was going to entail?
No, not really. I tell you what we've done. All the contests we've been to, we pick the things that we really love about those individual contests, and we try to put it all together in FunFest. FunFest was a great contest to begin with, so it's not like we're starting off from scratch. Their team count was down last year, but it's a great contest with long-term standing. I mean, I've got judges coming out my ears already. It's been easier than I thought it would. But by the same token, it takes time, and it takes a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails that I'm not used to having to do. Plus, all my networking with my own sponsors and a couple of TV networks that I'm working with, so my calendar's gotten quite full.
Are you going to be competing in this too, or are you just going to be running the whole deal?
I wish. That'd be lovely if I could pick my own judges, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you just actually have like the velvet rope of judges off on your side of the stage there. That wouldn't be, I don't think there would be any conflict of interest there.
Nah, none.
Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q joining me here on the show. You had mentioned Sam's Club a little bit earlier and kind of trolling through that whole Sam's Club series, which I believe I'm going to be talking with Mike McLeod here in a week or two about how that whole thing came to be with KCBS, but I happen to see the Yazoo's Delta Q team name involved in one of those as well. Just as somebody that likes competition barbecue, you're out there promoting the sport. What do you think a company like Sam's backing and kind of creating this whole series brings to the competition barbecue scene?
Well, it's awesome. Anything that we can do to, I was talking to somebody in Washington, D.C. today, and they didn't really know a whole lot about barbecue, but they know a whole lot about food. And he said to me, I'm finding out that this barbecue thing it's big and it's really organized, and there's a whole world of barbecue out there that nobody knows about. So anything that we can do to tap into that, Sam's is a very visible company. Anything we can do to tap into getting the public into competition barbecue is awesome in my book. Any TV show you want to do, whatever you want to do, as long as it's about competition barbecue, I'm all for it. So hopefully, we can get more shows about barbecue because, that's what we need. I mean, competition barbecue is way better than swamp people or, logging people. Whatever.
Or,
people want to see that on TV.
Yeah. What's the one I just got here? They're casting for redneck barbecue caterers. Those are the people that do my big redneck wedding. They're now in development for redneck barbecue caterers. So, if you're a character, you're fun and outgoing, and you're camera friendly, which I guess I always thought that rednecks and camera friendly were terms that didn't go together. But this is what we're getting on television. Rednecks and small people with pit bulls that could possibly eat them. And I'm with you. There should be more barbecue television out there because that's what really seems to be gaining a lot of steam, especially if you look over the past 2 or 3 years.
Right. I totally agree. But I tell you, there are a couple of things coming. There are a couple of things in the works that will be more upscale barbecue shows on TV. So I'm super, super excited about that.
All right, so go ahead and give us the scoop because I know you want to. What are you talking about?
Oh, I can't. I wish I could. If I gave the scoop out, somebody'd take my place. I can't.
Oh my goodness! So, but it's. Is it? I'm trying
to. It's a big Food Network.
All right, so we can certainly go along with it. Is it like competition stuff, or is it going to be like reality stuff? What is it going to be?
It's totally going to be competition stuff.
All right, so something to look for. Is that going to maybe happen this year, or we might have to wait a little longer?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen this year.
All right, so something to look forward to. Now, do you know anything about this Barbecue Pitmaster show? Is this something that might be picked up for a third season? You are obviously part of what ended up being a very successful second season. Have you heard anything about that from anybody?
I've heard the rumors everyone else has heard. I would be surprised if they did not pick it up for a third season, just because the ratings were good. People hated it, whatever, but they watched it.
Yeah.
So, I would be very surprised if they did not pick it up for a third season. And people can say what they want to, but at the end of the day, if somebody's putting barbecue on TV, I'm good with it. I wasn't crazy about the format either, but at the end of the day, barbecue is on TV.
Would you like to see a meld between kind of the season 1 and the season 2, like taking the things that seem to really work with both and then making a third season out of the best parts of each?
Oh, sure. And I love season 1 because I think what we do on the circuit every day, I think it's entertaining, it's interesting, and I think people sitting at home on the couch might be a little more prone to getting up and firing up the grill. I love the first season. The second season, it had its points. Hell, they got me to cook rattlesnake. I mean, who would ever in a million, never would anybody get me to cook rattlesnake. But it had good points and bad points. But I would like to see more of the competition angle because when you stick somebody in a field somewhere and put a camera on them is not the same as being at a barbecue competition. But the competitive nature was there, and most of us knew each other, and it was definitely an experience, and it was fun. It was very stressful, but it was fun.
Now, you've cooked a number of different sanctioning bodies. Have you been down to FBA? Have you done the IBCA as well, or no?
No. That's we hope to get into a little bit of that maybe this year, maybe not, maybe next year. Kind of depending on what my summer looks like, but. I think we're going to try to get our feet wet in Kansas City first and see if I can get at the top of the leaderboard up there somewhere because, as you know, I went to the Jack and bombed.
Now, hold on a second. That's not even a KCBS event, so I don't even know if that counts.
I know, but, I'm a very competitive person, and that absolutely – you should have read the emails that I had the day after the Jack, and I'm talking about for some big Kansas City teams. Melissa – don't take this,
right.
to the bank. So, but now I'm determined. That only made me more determined to figure out Kansas City and what the heck I'm doing. I mean, the first Kansas City we did awesome. The second one, we won a reserve grant, and the third one we granted. And then it's been downhill from there. So I will figure this out, I promise.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and you probably know, but as you said, that it's the competition spirit within you that kind of negates the realistic point of view of the Jack is just not where you want to gauge. It's not like you went to the American Royal Invitational and finished second to last like Whiskey Bent Barbecue did. But then they turned around in the Open and, finished in the top 30 out of 500 other teams. So, that's probably where you would want to go to get the better gauge. But that being said, and I was kind of pussyfooting around with some of the other sanctioning bodies to kind of get to this question. You've done some other sanctioning bodies. You've obviously dominated one in particular, that being MBN. But as you see competition barbecue continue to grow in popularity, however it is, whether it be people you're talking to in Washington, D.C., or you're seeing it on television, do you think that there's going to be a time when some new type of super faction of competition barbecue comes up where there's going to be real corporate sponsorship, almost like on a per-team basis, and maybe there's like a season of barbecue? It's not 12 months long anymore, but maybe it's 4 or 5 months, and there's going to be 30 or 40 competitions, and you're sponsored to go wherever you are, and there's going to be this huge prize money at the end, kind of like a baseball or a football or a hockey type deal.
Oh, I think that would be awesome. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm just a dumb little country girl who goes and cooks. So,
well, yeah, right.
I don't know, what's coming down the road, but, that would be great. I mean, we're already kind of set up on a point system and going for Team of the Year, so it would make sense, to do a circuit, like NASCAR does or whatever. I don't know anything about NASCAR, but, that some big corporation does. I mean, that would make sense. And, and two, I would not be opposed if they wanted to throw in some different cuts for us to cook, of course I will always be married to whole hog and that, but with that being said, I'm always up for a challenge for trying something new.
Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q joining us here on the show. Her website, yazoo'sdeltaq.com. By the way, I don't know if this is continually true or not, but you still have a couple spaces open there for the, what is that? How do you even say that? Millage Milledgeville, Georgia? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Milledgeville, Georgia, February 26th and 27th. You got a cooking class coming up. Is that still have a couple spots open?
Well, we actually filled up,
All
but
right.
I scheduled a class for April the 23rd and 24th just south of Memphis, and so I had a couple people switch to the April class. So now I think I have 3 spots open for the February class again, even though it was full. So if you saw me post that it was full, I now have 3 spots open.
So what does one expect from a Yazoo's Delta Q cooking class? Because there's a lot of people out there, and look, there's certainly no surprise that these type of classes have become very prevalent over the past 3-4 years with some of the top teams in any sanctioning body going ahead and giving classes about what they're doing. Are you sharing everything that you're doing in competition?
Yeah, I would not feel comfortable taking somebody's money if I didn't show them what I did. And you can ask people that have been to I've had people that have been to a private class where they came and cooked with us at a contest, and then also come to a class, where we're just having a class with a bunch of people, and we teach the exact same thing at both places. And in one, we're in competition, so we go through everything from when we pull up to a contest, we trim meat, all the way through to turning a blind box in, and everything we do. We give them recipes for our rub and our sauce. We tell them exactly what we do, show them what we do. At the end of the day, I look at it like this. It's a shame, but if you're going to be a professional barbecuer, you have to teach these classes in order to make your money, in order to pay your entry fees.
Right.
And I would not feel good about taking somebody's money and not showing them what I do. With that being said, at a contest last year, I came in 4th in ribs. The top 3 teams in ribs had just come to my class.
So here's the question, because I had just made a post on Facebook about how I was looking to start to get the competition roundtable shows back underway, possibly for next month. And former Team of the Year for KCBS, Rod Gray from Pellet Envy, said, that's it. I'm not doing any more of your roundtable shows because somebody made it a point to me at a competition in Florida that he listened to my roundtable about brisket, and then he beat me that day with brisket. So is it and especially for you, because you've made income off of these people. They've turned right around, and now instead of you being first, you're 4th, and the other 3 teams have beaten you. Is there a bittersweet? Is it just pretty much bitter, or is it just mostly sweet to see people that have taken your class doing so well and kind of beating you at your own game?
As long as I have food on the table for my child to eat, it's sweet, because I'm like a mama. I have all my little boys around me, and we're talking about barbecue or whatnot, but they're really interested in what I'm doing. And to see them excel. I had a guy at Memphis in May this year come up to me and he's crying, and I'm like, what, why? What's wrong? He's like, Melissa, I came in 109th in ribs at Memphis in May last year. I just walked the stage. I came in 9th.
Wow.
And he had not cooked in between. And he's gone on to win, several contests in ribs. And that makes me feel really good, because it feels like I'm paying it forward and I'm giving it back. I really wish there had been schools around when I was learning how to barbecue, because it would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of heartache.
Yeah, probably mostly the heartache, I would imagine.
Yeah.
When people are taking the class, is it at least safe to put up that preface up front that you're going to show them everything, but there really is, no matter how much they're paying, that money isn't also paying for Melissa Cookston and Pete Cookston to come down and actually cook it for you. There's some investment on the class participants' side as well to take what you're giving them and then practice and apply and then take it to the competition.
Oh, yeah, and if you come to my class, I show you what it works for me, what I have won with. The most recent thing I'm doing that has been proven and that I'm winning with, that's what I show you. If you choose not to use that, then yay for you, because I just made money. Because this is what's winning. I had 29 first places at 16 contests last year. We only have 3 categories. So, what I'm doing is winning. And if they choose not to use it, and some of them don't, then go for it. It is what it is. But we have people, that come to the class and they're like, why do you do that? And I'm like, this is why I do that. And I explain it. And it seems to make sense at the time, but they go back and cook the same stuff they were cooking and come in the same places they were coming in. So, and that's just good money that I make, and I don't have to worry about them beating me, and that's cool.
That's right. Getting some instant messages here on the Ustream chat board asking, I, of course, know the answer to this, but I figured I'd let you go ahead and pimp it out there. But people want to know if you sell your rubs and sauces anywhere.
Yeah, they're on our website at yazoo'sdeltaq.com. And actually, you can buy my rub cheaper than I can make my rub. We have it packaged in a 5-pound bag that is absolutely awesome, and it's $30 for that 5-pound bag, or you can get a case of it for $100. And I can't make the rub that cheap. I mean, spices are expensive. I didn't really realize it until I started making rubs and for different, the beef and the pork and the chicken and so forth, that it is so expensive. So, yazoo'sdeltaq.com. And also we have a blog. It's a barbecueworld.com. You can check out there and see what we're doing.
Now, when you're talking about rubs and sauces, have you transitioned over to like a commercial or company packer to make this stuff for you?
Actually, we go to the packer, and anytime we do a new sauce, we go to the packer, make the recipe for the first time with the packer. Mm-hmm. How cool is that? Most people won't let you in their kitchen. They are measuring. They have all these huge, big machines, and they're measuring everything that we're putting in there by the granule. So I'm making the first batch. They have it exactly the way I've done it, and then they continue to bottle that under my recipe. But, it's like if I give you a recipe and I give 5 other guys a recipe, all 6 of them are going to taste a little different.
Right.
But they're actually putting the ingredients in the same order that I put them in. So, I mean, it's really neat to be able to do that.
Did it take you a while to find the company that was actually going to allow you to come in and kind of do that first batch, or were you pretty lucky right out of the gate?
Oh, it took me a while. Most companies don't want to talk to you unless you're going to buy 5 million gallons of sauce. But I ran into some friends of mine. They're like, "Hey, we bought this thing. We're going to bottle sauce." I'm like, "Oh, cool!" And then before I know it, they're selling their sauce, and I'm like, "Hey, can I come down?" And that's barbecue people, though. I mean, we are friends, and we love each other to death, and we'll do anything to help out. And they did. They came through for me. So, the Shed Barbecue down on the coast in Biloxi, Ocean Springs, actually, is they're awesome.
Melissa Cookston of Yazoo's Delta Q joining me here on the show. yazoo'sdeltaq.com is the place to go to check them out. Obviously, Melissa just said there's a blog. You can also get the rubs and sauces out there as well. I mean, how's that e-commerce thing working out for you? You moving a lot of sauce and rub?
We are. It really surprised me. I'm having to order rubs so frequently, and it's always so fresh. I love that. I'd hate it if it were sitting, forever. But it's been great. People have been, just very receptive of trying it, and we've had lots of multiple orders and reorders. So that's a good thing. People like it.
So as we look into 2011 here, we're just barely halfway through February. Competition season kind of starting anew for the majority of sanctioning bodies out there. How many competitions you looking to do? What various sanctioning bodies you looking to do? What's on the agenda for the 2010 reigning champions of NBN?
We're looking at doing about 30 contests. Probably, I would say, half and half NBN in Kansas City. That's a lot of competitions. I know. We had to figure out how much we drove last year. It was almost 40,000 miles that we drove last year to compete. Luckily, you can just write all that off with no problem, right? Oh, yes. The more, the better. Right. I mean, has it come to a point where, regardless of who you're competing with, the teams that are going to be doing the 30-plus competitions a year are really going to be the guys that are gals in your particular situation, but these are the teams that are going to be in contention to win Team of the Year in and year out now? Yeah, with me, I'm split between 2 circuits, so obviously I'm not going to be running points with either circuit. I have to do Memphis because that's what I know, and I figure if I go to a Memphis contest, hopefully I can be able to make some of my money back in order to compete the next week. Not so sure about myself, on other circuits, but like I said, around this area, we do really well at Kansas City, really well. So, we're going to dabble in that. But we're definitely going to hit some of these big money contests, and hopefully we can keep food on the table for the rest of the year with that. So,
aside from that, what else is happening that you want to get out there while I got you on the line, Melissa?
I'll be at the National Barbecue Convention on March 25th and 26th. I think I'm doing a Meet the Masters and a pork demonstration there. But I'm writing a book. That's what I've been doing this winter. I've been working on some new recipes and writing a book.
Is it a cookbook?
It's going to be half a cookbook and half you're not going to believe what happened at this contest. We've run across some pretty humorous and crazy things at barbecue contests, and I think that stuff just needs to be out there. I may or may not omit names. I'm now taking bribes for the omissions. But, it's going to be a lot of fun because, if you don't have humor in life, what do you have? And, anything that I do, it has to have some humor in it. So there's going to be a lot of that in there. And, some great recipes, things that we've, all our pitmaster stuff will be in there recipe-wise, and, things that we've tried and things that we've bombed. Hey, don't ever try this. This does not work. But I think it'll be fun.
Any target release date on that?
When I get it finished.
Still in just the writing phase then, huh?
Yeah. Well, once barbecue season gets fired up, we're on the road so much, it's really hard to really sit down and focus on it. But we've got a ton. I think we have like 300 pages already written. So, it's only going to take some finishing up to do. So hopefully by the summer it'll be out.
So with all these competitions that you do, and I know when I had initially had you on, like the very, very first time last year, we were kind of making a big deal that you're a lady that's in a male-predominated sport, and that originally, Pete was the pit master of the team, and you kind of took over the reins, but obviously you guys are working very well as a cohesive unit as you go up and down the competition trail. How much does he bring to the team, and how much does it mean to you to be able to garner all these awards and obviously share it with somebody who you love a lot?
Oh, yeah. Pete and I absolutely, we are a yin and yang. We are so different. I'm the loud, outspoken one. He's the quiet one. We do not think anything alike. If we see a sock laying, in the floor, one of us thinks, go put it in the dirty clothes. The other one thinks, oh, I must have dropped it, and leaves it laying there. But when we come together, it's an absolute, it's a wonderful thing that we're able to put on the table. Because I'm going to tell you, it's something about, we don't even have to talk to know what the other one's thinking or what the other one's doing. If he walks off and leaves something, I pick it up, and vice versa. And it's so nice to have somebody that you can spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year together and not have a single fight.
Ever?
I mean, how cool is that? Never.
Ever.
Never.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Wow. Not many people can say that.
I'm not going to say we don't disagree.
Sure.
We do. I mean, but we just talk about it and the cooler head prevails and but it's pretty awesome to be able to do this together. I don't know many couples. I know my friends tell me all the time, if I had to spend that much time around my husband, we'd kill each other. But we really enjoy what we do, and we enjoy being together doing it. And, I have the best job in the world.
Yeah, well, I think proof is in the pudding. All the rewards and awards have certainly quantified and qualified those statements that you just made. We're talking with Melissa Cookston, Yazoo's Delta Q. Again, the website, yazoosdeltaq.com. Melissa, I always appreciate the conversation, and believe me, the love that you're getting here on the instant message board for as far as just the honesty and the shooting from the hip, something that I've obviously grown to love, and that's why I love to have you on as frequently as I can get you. But I always appreciate the time you give to the show, and we'll look to have you on again as soon as you want to come back on. Well, thanks for having me, Greg, and good smoking luck. Oh, see? Look what you did. All right, thank you, Melissa. Have a great night. I knew it. She got me. I can't believe it. Got me. I knew she was going to do that. Darn it. I was going to do it to her, and then I was like, such another great interview. Why bother ruining it, trying to get in my Kevin Roberts? But she got me. She got me, baby. Yes. Wow, lots of things to react to. First of all, the fact that she's been able to, not just she, but the team has been able to dominate the Memphis Barbecue Network for so long. And as she said, there's been a lot of back and forth going on with Jack's Old South for the last 4 or 5 years. So, I would have liked to have seen Myron Mixon kind of show up, at least just for face value, to give that trophy back because she was there the year before giving it back to him. So I would have liked to see Myron do that, regardless of how busy it is. This is where he made his bones in barbecue as well, as he would be the first to admit it. So, whether he's branching more out into KCBS, which obviously he is. But look, Myron still cooks KCBS as well, or FBA as well. So he's a three-tool player. And it sounds like Melissa would like to at least dabble a little bit into some of the other sanctioning bodies. I think she would do very well in FBA competitions. I don't know where she is in relation to where some of the bigger FBA events are. Obviously, I know Florida, but I know they reach out to Alabama and Georgia as well. So, heaven forbid she decide to take on that bit and head on over to the FBA a little bit. Some guys would be a little creepy over there. So, I mean, I could just take another hour to react on pretty much everything she said. And then, of course, with the cooking classes, they're prolific right now. And she's telling you exactly what she does. I know there's a lot of people out there that continue to believe that the teams that are putting on competition cooking classes are reserving something. They're not telling you exactly what's happening. Believe me, if I was winning competitions, I wouldn't tell anybody anything. You couldn't pay me $1,750 to get me to do a friggin' cooking class. Because if I'm winning and I have what it takes to win and I'm winning more than I'm not sharing it with anybody. None of you people. Not getting anything from me. Forget it. But hey, she's a better person than me. She continues to prove that every time she's on the show, by the way. So there you go. It's Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q. She's convinced me. I think I'm going to go ahead and order me up some rub and some sizzles. Or maybe a T-shirt, too. I like T-shirts. I've outfitted my whole T-shirt drawer with barbecue T-shirts. I have to make a list of everybody I got there and let you know who I got. I got a lot. All right, let's recap who we had on the show. First hour was Bill Arnold from Blues Hog. BluesHog.com is the website there. Very popular KCBS competition sauce right now. Also, thanks to Tuffy Stone from Cool Smoke breaking down the Lakeland, Florida Pig Festival DQ with the Brisket Willie Jones, McGillicuddy, and other things. And, of course, my second-hour guest, who I just got off the phone with, Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q. They are the reigning champions of the Memphis Barbecue Network. Amongst other things, books in the works, television deals in the works, lots of great things happening for Yazoo's Delta Q. Big show planned next week, by the way, so stay tuned for that. I'll be tweeting and Facebooking about it for the next 7 days, so stay tuned. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.